So Mama, you here? Today we will be having a conversation pretty much talking about all things love. You know, my new song, Product of Love, just dropped. And it's pretty much, you know, a song that talks about where love derives in my life and how it grows and how I see it for myself and how I grew to have that perspective. So I think it's important to see, because you're the person who helped instill that concept into me as well, and you have your own perspective of love and your trials and tribulations that you've seen throughout your life. So I wanted to ask you first, before we get into the conversation, what did you think of Product of Love, the song? Honest opinion.
Oh, my honest opinion?
Yeah.
It was good. It was really good. First of all, it was my first time seeing you dance. So I was amazed that I didn't think you could dance. Right, you had rhythm, because when you was little. But but it was a good song, and I actually listened to it over and over again. You know, I had to take it up to a higher level, so I wanted to hear the words. And I told you, I think when you was younger, that you can hear the emotions of what a person is saying. You can hear them crying. You can hear them when they're riding with the music. Right. And so I heard, you know, a request. Like you said that, teach me how to love. And so I think that this song tells us that a lot of times people need to teach us, but we also have to teach them how to love us individually, you know what I mean? Right. Because what you think love is not necessarily what I think love is. I can say, you know, I'd like for you to come home, cook, do this, but you might not even think that. You just want me to sit with you, talk with you. Right. So I really do like, and then I like the whole aesthetics of the video.
So with that, I guess I would ask, what's your perspective as far as where did you first witness love for the first time, or that you could call it out and you say, okay, that's love in your life for the first time, that you can remember? Where did it come from? Who did it come from? And what was it that made you feel like that was love?
Well, my first love, what I can say, came from my granny. You know, she raised me. My mom did her, you know, her part, but she had her life struggles. But my granny, a lot of times when I sit back and I say there's only one person in this life in my childhood that really loved me, it was my granny. You know, she was an older woman. She instilled in me old school values, you know, that old school stuff. I still say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am because of her. She would have went through anything for me. And so I don't think I've ever met anyone in that capacity to love me like she did. To take a child that don't belong to her and raise them. Yeah. So, in your journey of love, since your grandmother was your first sign of love, how do you feel like that love, and you said that was one of the few people who you felt like you got love from, how did that affect your perspective of love moving forward in life, period? So as far as with women, hanging out with older women, because I really don't hang around with a lot of young girls, you always look for that mother figure, especially after she passed away. And then I had to learn what love is. I went through so many bad relationships. I went through horrible friendships because I wanted somebody to actually love me. Because I felt like nobody was there, nobody cared. And so what I did, man, it took some trials and tribulations. I mean, it took a hard time. Bad relationships. People, I think, people say they love you, but they're using it carelessly. Right, because it's more than a word. Right, it's more than word. It's more than it. And they use the word love to hold stuff against you. But when you find that real love, I mean, you'll know a person that really loves you. Like, for me, hair sticking up on my head, smelling like whatever, you love me. Yeah. And you know I was sick for a while. And so I can honestly say I believe with all my heart that Sean loves me. Because he went through dialysis with me. He went through, even now when I'm going through my moments, he's the one who had to talk me off the ledge. Yeah. And don't judge me. He don't judge me. He understands that that when I'm in pain, and but he thinks he has to be the man to be the strong one. Yeah. So, and that's love. That's love. It is love. Yeah. Be the story of my life. Help me rewrite it. Oh. You know, I think he was around 7 when 6 or 7, around that age when I met Sean, and you remember our first date? We took you to the beach. Oh, beach. And you danced, and I was so embarrassed. No. I was so damn embarrassed. And you was dancing in front of all the people singing in the beach, a crowd of people at a concert. I do remember that. Yeah, that was our first date. My first date.
He
was that
took
jazz
us out.
festival?
Yes, he
Yeah,
took
it was
us
jazz
out.
festival.
And who would have known 19 years later we'd be married.
Right.
Still married. You know, we went through a lot. We went through a lot. But being married to him has changed my perspective on people. Because I loved him. I think I fell in love with him in a conversation. Because I believe that if I can't have a conversation with you, other than sex,
Right.
other than superficial stuff,
Yeah.
I can't be with you because I need someone who stimulates my mind. And he stimulates my mind and he listens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so love is him not always overpowering the conversation. It's actually him listening to my feelings, me listening back. And so I think that's what make our marriage work. I think in today's time, couples don't listen. A lot of people get in it for the wrong reason. You know, we both came in and broke. We had no money, nothing. And to watch us grow, I mean, we don't have a lot now, but to grow and to be where we're at now, man.
And what y'all have is together.
Well,
That's
we have
really
it
good,
together.
'cause
It's
the
no
streets-
mine and he is, it's ours.
Yeah.
Right.
And because the streets is filthy, so stay out these streets. The streets is filthy. So,
They are.
I'm just saying that.
Okay, so when you say I'm not a product of love, when I first heard it, I was like, man, yes, he is. Cause, you know, but then when I look and you open it up, you have to unpackage that little phrase. So when you said, does it extend from your childhood to your adulthood, or is it just relations between you and a woman?
It's childhood into adulthood. Because I think for a long time, I think it played a part into everything that I went through. I think it played a part into confidence. It played a part into everything in my life. Like in the beginning, like I just had you. So it was you and I thugging it out, you know, and then life happened. So then I moved with grandma and them, and I never really had that relationship with my dad. So it's kind of like that, but he was always not around, but like in a spot where I knew where he was at all times. So, but I never felt like, you know, like I just always had a problem finding my place as far as like, where do I belong? Like, I know I'm loved because everybody, you know, people love me, but I feel like I'm just here. And I always had that thing. So growing up, it was always like playing a part of my confidence, especially my dad in general, just like feeling like that's a spot that I feel like, oh, am I worthy? Like, am I good enough? Because there's so many things I could go into depth about in that regard, like not feeling worthy enough. And that played a big part in just me growing up and like finding worth in myself. So, but the whole I am not a product of love was just saying, like, I guess the root of it all, like seeing the basis of, I guess, the creation of myself and the people who formed me or created me, not seeing that relationship really like being a formed or a basis, because that's like where a lot of people learn the basis of love, or their home base for that. So, and I feel like I didn't really have that initial starting ground to start from. So, but I still did have love around. So I'm appreciative of that. But it was just the beginning of like that baseline.
Yeah, because watching Grandma Year and them, that to me, you know, watching them, that helped mold an idea of a marriage for me. So let me ask you. So when you do have kids.
She want me to have kids so bad. So bad.
When you do have kids, 30 years from now, how are you gonna instill them to be a product of love?
I think the way that I would instill my kids to be a product of love in the future would be, and this sounds simple and it will be more than that, but I think presence, because I think that matters. I feel like even if, no matter, I mean, the circumstances could be whatever they are, but presence matters, you know, because kids don't know, I always say this, like kids don't know, they don't fully grasp the full concept of the circumstance. They just, you know, all they want is presence, and they want you to be there. So I think presence, that's the starting base, and that's not gonna fulfill every void in any kid's life, because every kid's gonna, parents can be perfect, but kids are always gonna find something. Yeah, you know, so I think that's the starting ground. Be present, and that's another reason why I'm careful about the kids situation, because I want to make sure that I'm 100% ready for that, so I can give them the full experience of that, because I want it to be a full-blown parental experience that I feel like I really desired. You know, like I really
Because you know
desired.
it's a learning experience.
I know.
It's a learning experience that Dr. Spock made it. He got it wrong. And so how did you feel when you was making this video? When you was in the studio and you were like, I'm doing this choreography. How did you feel?
I felt a little comfortable at first, because I felt like I didn't know how people were going to receive it. But I know a lot of people, when I had this conversation, and honestly, there was a lot of talks that I would have with different people, and it would just be like, oh, this is confirmation. Sometimes I wouldn't even tell them I'm making music, but I would have a conversation with people just about love and life and their upbringing and stuff, and it was a constant theme that I've seen from people, even now, up to like last week.
hearing people have this constant theme, and it made me think, okay, even though I'm uncomfortable with saying this side of myself, because none of my other songs go to this depth in me yet, so it was just like feeling comfortable and able to just tell this side of my story, no matter how people feel about it, like being able to say it, because it is a truth of mine, and it's just something I have to live in and embrace. So, and I know a lot of people can relate to it, especially in the Black community. A lot of people can relate to that, and I think that's something that I've never, and I told my team this before, I've never heard a song that talks about product of love, or, you know, being affected by, you know, your childhood up into adulthood and your relationship. So I thought it was very important, since I feel like that avenue had never been spoken about before.
I think you and I had a conversation last week, and we was talking about, and I told you I love listening to people's stories. When you listen to people's stories, and then you listen to your music, when you really listen to your music, see, it's one thing to turn it on and bop to it, but when you actually listen to the lyrics of the word, and I think I told you when you were little, always listen to the lyrics, and then listen to the music. The lyrics first, because the lyrics will give you the heart of the person, but the music will give you the vibe of the whole situation. Right. And so when you listen to the music, you can take it, and because I ask people their stories, it's another lady, she passed away about 2 weeks before Mama did. And when I'm thinking about Product of Love, I was sitting there and I was ministering to her. And in ministering to her, I said, what's your story? Why are you the way you are? And her daughter was like, Mama, tell her, you never told anyone. And so I'm listening to your Product of Love, you know, and you said, you're not a product of love. And I'm listening to it, and she was not. And so listening to that, you can see where people not having love as a child, not even as an adult, because she didn't have love, and the one person she loved left, not by his own will. And so I saw how lost you can be when you do actually find that love. Right. And so I believe Product of Love, it reaches past you and I. Right. It reaches to the depths of everybody's heart. Right. Because a lot of us have been, we're guilty of not giving the right love, but we're guilty of not asking for the right love. Yes, asking. You understand?
Requiring it.
And so I believe a lot of kids wouldn't have been in your place if we knew what love was. If we understood it. And so Product of Love is just, it's a magnificent song. I mean, it's not something I take, you know, I listen to all your music. I told you I am your biggest fan. I've been since day one. But I think this one, it speaks volume. It speaks volume. If I ever wrote a play or a movie, I would use this in the soundtrack.
I already know I make mistakes. I tried so many times and I just don't